Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands, and welcome to this Reviews, where today we're going to be reviewing some tracks off of an album called The Death of Sovereignty by an act named Danny End the Dictators. And if we switch over to here, we have the album here, released in 2022, 11 songs, 46 minutes and 41 seconds. We've got One in a Million, we're also going to be listening to Invisible Man, and River of Rife. We are going to be listening to each of these three tracks from start to finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. Oh, that's a hell of a sick drum fill coming into it, man. Loving that dynamic range as well. And now we've got some guitars. Cool, it's a kind of a majorish. This is a major distorted guitar riff. You don't hear those very often, do you?
It's not one for one, get things done. It's not twofold, do what you're told. It's not enough to demonstrate. To fail is only delay. That to be done another day. If you got it wrong, doesn't make the wrong or right.
Doesn't make it wrong or right. Well done double tracking the vocals. I think we have double tracked the vocals in this recording. I'm liking the pump and vibe of this, man. The perky guitar rhythm riffs, the ba 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 ba, and the way the drums are syncing up with that. And the vocals are sitting nicely in the mix. A little bit slower, a little bit more of a slow dance.
To defeat us, science of the times to redefine limitations born in mind, in your mind. One in a million, one in a million, one in a million, one in a million, one in a million.
Okay, so we got the hook here. We're literally repeating that that hook line, that main message a few times.
One in a million, one in a million. Make me call it history. Change the words, change the words. There's nothing in game. Change the thoughts and
Just before we go any further, I'm noticing we've gone up on our vocal range quite a bit. It sounds good, but it sounds like we're really putting a lot of pressure on our head voice there. I could be wrong. Just in the higher harmony, you know?
one in a million, one in a million, one in a million. It's not one for one, get things done. It's not twofold, do what you're told. It's not enough to demonstrate. To fail is only delay.
It's not enough to demonstrate doing what you're told. 1 in a million. Interesting. Interesting.
Done another day. If you got it wrong, doesn't make the wrong or right. Merely the vision, missing out on necessity to make a dream after 1,000 tries. To be a science of the times, redefine limitations born in mind.
It was nice to have that triplet fill break things up there. I think that might have been a 16th triplet fill, actually. Yeah, we have a sense of sameness with the way we're delivering these vocals here. The melodies work on top of the chords really, really well, and the intensity is good. I'm wondering if we're going to change or go down a little bit from here, because we've been quite, you know, adding more lead guitar. That's cool. It's nice to have the lead guitar coming on this next on this chorus. I appreciate that. I think having that additional little layer there spices it up a little bit. You know, spices up, shakes and refreshes things. Because even though it's not like a really long song, you know, like 4.5 minutes has got a bit of heft to it. But it's not like we're talking about a 20-minute long composition where like you have to be so careful about how you structure it and phrase it. even just little shifts along the course of a song can keep the listener's attention and make it exciting to listen to. That sameness has been, you know how I talked about that sameness just a little bit before? Yeah, I think that's been mitigated a little bit, which is grand. I'm not getting all of the words. I'm not getting all the words clearly, and I'm concerned that I might be missing some context there that you get from hearing the whole thing. Again, like, I know there was literally a guitar solo just before, and I haven't really commented on. I enjoyed the guitar solo. I assume if we go back there, I'll talk about it. We'll have a listen to it. I'm assuming that we had that run there because we've already had this chorus line repeated a few times, and so we're just kind of assuming that the listener is used to the message that's being told. So you're just assuming that texture will continue. And then you kind of listen to the new element again to keep things refreshed. That was dope. I like the phrasing of the solo by itself. It was interesting placement having... It feels like a solo with the amount of complexity to it that would have probably stood just as well on its own. You know, as far as I can tell, Danny and the Dictators really trying to hammer the main themes of this track through lyrically, you know? Okay, we've got this main rhythm guitar theme with the bass and the drums that we repeat back to. 1 in a million is 1 for 1 that day. There's a tremolo on that lead guitar, or a whammy bar. That sounded dope. Wow, this is what happens when you eat, like, M&Ms before you do a review. Apparently, that's a terrible idea. I'll get some water in a moment, I think. Danny and the Dictators. I could see what they were trying to do there with that outro chorus, having the lead guitar over it to kind of make it sound bigger and like a grandiose outro. It worked there. It worked better than when we had the, I'm gonna get some water in a minute. I don't have a peanut allergy, but like, yeah, it would have been better to maybe have had just that outro chorus with the lead guitar on it. I feel like having that like initial solo there over the chorus line, it didn't have as much punch the second time around, if that makes sense, with the outro chorus, having the solo on top. So maybe if they'd had the solo by itself, just as a lead guitar part, just because, again, due to the complexity of the notes and everything, the guitar solo was taking attention away from the vocal line, and then had it all come together at the end, is what I'm trying to say, you know? It's a tried and tested sort of way of staging these sort of lead guitar sections with the vocals, because if inherently you have two different lead lines that you're trying to balance. I think because, of course, we had Danny and the Dictators, main messages and hook lines, we didn't especially vary the lyrics during those chorus parts. I think it still works. It's just a subjective thing, man. I'm really happy with this track. You know, like, we had a similar level to the energy of it throughout. Like, once we hit that mid part and we're up in that higher range with the lower harmonies, we kind of kept there the whole time, that same intensity for the 3.5 minutes. I guess 1 in a million, it was meant to sound like lots of people chanting it or something like that, and I get that. It would have been cool maybe to have a point where like things just took a little dip in the intensity of it, just to like maybe like have a slow build with the 1 in a million thing as the crowd kind of rising up again or something. I don't know, man. I'm picking at stuff. I'm really happy with this track though. I think it's a good start, like in general, the instrumentalism so far, the music performances have been really, really well done. I love the drum fills. The guitar riffs were solid and lead lines were great too. Lovely personality to the lead guitar, and I get why we did the vocals like that. It was a nice little falsetto at the end to sign out. We have Invisible Man though, number 2. Track number 2 for today, but track 3 off the album. Alright, and to just... that... I don't know what to comment on first. I think that string was out of tune. That part there. I'll turn it up so you can hear it. I'm playing that through my keyboard. I think that string there, that string there is a little bit out of tune on that recording. Yeah. I don't really have a lot else to say about that so far. The guitar riff is cool. It's just little things you notice, right? 1 in a million. I didn't really talk about that story today. 1 in a million was effectively... I think they were talking about, not the demonstration not working or trying to redefine like their existences and stuff like that and break the limitations and all that kind of stuff. Maybe it was like 1 in a million and like people didn't think that you'd possibly be able to get past that or be bigger than you are, and that people, maybe they're saying they are 1 in a million, or maybe they're saying that they're not and that everyone has strengths and weaknesses but they can become better than they are. I don't know. I got parts of 1 in a million. I wonder what Invisible Man is about. It's kind of a wistful kind of guitar melody, guitar harmony there, isn't it? Sounds very misty. It's adorable, man. It's adorable. I adore it. It's kind of sad sounding, but it's got a sweetness to it. A bittersweet notation to it. I love the guitars and how they sound. The tone of them is fantastic. Nice chord change there, getting a bit darker on that. It's nice to have the guitar, the harmony, the backing guitar, kind of a little more subtle than what we had at the start to make room for the vocals. It's a kind of a depressing story though that's being told so far. It sounds like a narration of this person's adventure, this journey, and it's a little bit less. I don't know whether it was like. I'm not quite sure of the tone, the emotional tone of 1 in a million, but this one is a bit more obvious. More than we are, far less than we should be. There's a warblies there that kind of a weird old-timey LP-ish kind of distortion going on there, or a dissonance. I don't know how to describe that sound. You know when you listen to something and it's kind of warped a little bit? It's that kind of vibe. There's kind of a little bit of a nuance, a little bit of tip of that within this. They love their octave harmonies in the singing, don't they? I like this song a lot more than 1 in a Million. It's giving me some real Pink Floyd vibes at the moment. The guitar is a lot more poignant, seems a lot more appropriate tonally for it. I like this guitar inclusion here, but it'll be a shame if they do it more than once. It won't potentially be quite as special, you know? Wow, that's a really technically savvy guitar solo we got there. Actually, those arpeggiator works. See that pause there? That's kind of something I would have loved to have had in 1 in a Million. It's just a moment where things died down for a minute and it wasn't nearly as kind of like up here for a lot of it. That might have been the vibe they were going for, or the style they wanted, or the impression that they wanted, you know? But Invisible Man, just they really considered that option in this one. They implemented it really well. Bring the intensity down here was a smart move. It does sound a little bit quieter with those guitars, you know? Invisible Man, just not even being seen, man, not even being noticed, time slipping away. Sounds horrendously dreadful and depressing. The harmonies with that A minor chord. Yeah, it was an A minor chord. Hey, my ears are doing well today, for better or worse. It's a thoroughly depressing chord, A minor, and it works so well to exemplify the mood that's being communicated through the lyrics. Oh my goodness, I'm on fire today. It was an E minor. Excellent. Going between those two with that bass line, I'm loving that the bass isn't just kind of rotating between the root notes. There's some liveliness with it. He's exploring his scales. You know, it's great. It's fun, you know? See what I mean? You can hear it. It's subtle, but it's there, and it's really important to have that little bit of a... what do I describe that? I'd say coloration. There's when you've got all the other instruments locked into that A minor or that E minor chord and that triad, so the bass go, you know, like even if it replicates the arpeggio of it, it's still different. It's not at the same time. And that could be the strength of a bass instrument when it's played well and when it's mixed well. Not a family, not a friend. It's nice to, again, like, I kind of feel like we earned another solo section like this because we had enough space between the first one and this. No loose ends. Having that warbly, massive delay repeater chain going on there. And that point of tension there, and then you have the lead guitar coming in with the drums and the bass. It's smart songwriting. I like this one better than 1 in a Million. I will give this one a like. I quite like this one. I give them to songs I think are quite special. That isn't to say I think that 1 in a Million is a badly written track at all. There's a lot to love about 1 in a Million, but Invisible Man I think is just... Especially considering that that 5 and nearly 6 minutes just flew by, right? There's some extended harmonies going on there with that guitar. Again, I didn't mean to upset anyone when I was pointing out that the arpeggiated sort of clean guitars at the start of this track. It just, I heard the note, I was like, is that in tune? And I might have tuned the entire guitar to like 439 hertz or 440 hertz or something. You know, you know what I mean. It's just as a music reviewer, I can't really ignore that, you know? I have to point out the things like that and be kind of sort of balanced in it. Still, two great songs. We'll go River of Rife, track number 3 for today. River of Rife. This has an E for explicit next to it, so there may be some bad language. So any children watching this, maybe you might want to avert your gaze and close your ears. Again, really interesting tom fills. The drummer has been able to explore their drum kit within this album. It's a lot of fun. This organ is fun. I like this organ. Again, we've got a fairly simple chord progression. Oh, there's a little bit more because of the coloration of the additional synthesizers and stuff. Kick in, snare, kick in, kick in, kick in, kick in, kick in. It can kind of sometimes be nice just not to have the kick, snare, the kick, consistent doof, 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 doof. It's a shift from 1 in a Million and Invisible Man, though. They really commit to their stylistic uniqueness within these tracks. There's a bit of vocal grid there and like refining, you know, like that kind of groove to it. I dig it. I like the intensity of this one. It's been consistent, but it feels more for whatever reason. That consistency, I think, because it was established at the start in terms of the intensity of the vocals, makes more sense to me with this one. And the guitar solos by itself. Thank you. I'm so glad to hear the guitar solos by itself. You can let a lead be a lead, my dudes and dudettes. And you slow it down and simplify it when you come together with the vocals because you want to be supportive of both lead elements and harmonize well. This is a much stronger track, I think. I'll give this a... The doof 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 of the refining. To be honest, I'm not really sure what the song is about. Averaging. I mean, I'm listening to these lyrics. I've listened to this story, but I don't quite get it. I must have missed stuff. I must have missed context. There's piano on the right side, which is kind of fun. That's a new element, and I've been enjoying that as well. There's a ba-ba-da-da. Or it could be a guitar, like the guitar. It's nice how everything's been panned around the stereo field. You know, there's range to the performances and the effects, both literally and like audibly. And the instruments have been stacked well as well. There's no weird resonances within the mix. Nice to hear a synthy kind of dark wave post-electro track. Yeah, I didn't quite get that one. I'm not really sure about River of Wraith. I'll have a listen to the verse and I'll be right back. Yeah, I mean, I've listened to it. You know, like he's like talking to someone else and like wanted to show them stuff. Talking about chopping wood, refining and averaging and stuff like that. Is he talking about I want to like sort of discussing a world where it's all being manipulated and defined? You know, oh yeah. I don't want to completely stick myself in the mud. I need to accept my limitations as a music reviewer. Sometimes I just don't understand a song. There could be some heavy metaphorical stuff. There could be some stuff that you'll get once you listen through the entirety of the track, the Death for Sovereignty. So basically, I just needed to double check the meaning of sovereignty because I wanted to not screw that up. I originally thought it was simply to do with like kings and queens and stuff, like royal figures. But it's like a supreme authority within a part of or whatever, you know. You know, one in the willing makes sense because it's like, oh, you know, you're just one of the masses and they're sort of controlling you and stuff like that, and that we're not going to stand for it anymore, you know, like we don't have to take this, you know. The invisible man not being noticed is not maybe being particularly meaningful or relevant and just kind of getting absorbed into the masses. And then River of Rife, where the authorities or whatever the hell else are like refining and averaging and sort of like using people like test subjects or like puppets or whatever. That's my best guess. That's my best guess for that. Basically, this is the quote-unquote conclusion. We have ourselves... Hang on a minute. Now, we have ourselves like an album which has been well written. I didn't always get the words or the parts that were being sung, primarily just because there was quite a lot to go on to, and I think there was some additional context I needed from listening to the rest of the album. The vocal recordings were well done. I mean, you know, like you could clearly hear the vocals in the mix. They, you know, like the vocal technique was there. They had a specific style of singing. You know, they hit the notes that they needed to. There was some lovely harmonies going on there. The falsetto was alright, you know. I don't think they would really need to necessarily change their vocals that much. I think it suits the style of the track. There's a rawness to it, a grittiness to it. Sort of a manic sort of nature to it, you know. And I do think that it worked well with the guitar, you know, the bass, drum, synth elements and all that kind of stuff. You know, like the guitar, the bass, the drum parts, and the piano parts and the synth parts were played well. There was an extraordinarily amount of really complex playing, like orchestration or composition going on. The individual parts, like there were some really flashy guitar parts, and some of the drum fills were like quite technically like impressive. And it was nice to hear the bass exploring the range and all that kind of stuff. The strength lied in how the elements still cooperated with each other and meshed together. There was a lovely fusion of different textures and tones, and it illustrated the emotional requirements for each of these tracks. I think each of these tracks is unique and easily identifiable. While I didn't necessarily totally vibe with all of One in a Million, and there are occasional bits I noticed with some of the other tracks in regards to the production and like the levels of intensity with the performances and all that kind of stuff. These are minor sort of pedantic sort of, yeah, it's difficult things, you know, like because again, I have to offer a balanced critique here. I will say that these musicians, this band clearly shows a solid understanding of music theory and composition and what's required to make interesting music, and the long form stuff they've written as well as the 3-minute 12 song. They're all really strong. The production, the recording, mixing, and mastering, I do enjoy the way that the instruments sounded. I think they each sat in the mix really well. They were distinct. The EQing, panning, and all that kind of stuff was done really effectively. There were nice reverb tails there and clear efforts at automation and other bits to kind of add the icing on the cake. And then finally, of course, we had ourselves with the limiting impression was done spectacularly well. You know, it was nice and loud without pumping or any of that garbage. Yeah. Again, like aside from the few sort of nitpicks that I had about this record and this tracks I listened to today, I think this record is promising. I really hope that Danny and the Dictators can find some success with the Death for Sovereignty. It's well worth listening to, especially if you're into that kind of stuff, the anti-establishment kind of stuff. And hopefully you enjoy the music. But that is effectively my review of the Death for Sovereignty by Danny End the Dictators. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show Danny End the Dictators some love via their various social medias, and stay cool and stay safe. And please also remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on. Catch you in the next review. Spider Hens out.